And with that, with thanks again to the team whose work was just outstanding, I'll be happy to take your questions. Yes, let me start over here. Sure. Yeah, look, this transaction doesn't impact facilities or resources in that way. It just doesn't. What this transaction implicates is market power and the impact of that market power on Rhode Island consumers in the healthcare marketplace. Who else has a question? Yeah. I would call it complimentary, Steve. Obviously we didn't want to take two statements under oath, from the same party. I mean, the FTC has its own law to apply, and obviously we're going to be joining a lawsuit with them. But our authority is broader, and our criteria are broader. And that's why I mentioned, we sort of got into, look, we wanted to give this transaction the full benefit of the doubt. I mean, we could have stopped at antitrust. It's a pretty easy antitrust case, honestly. We wanted to go farther. And so certainly we coordinated in terms of the timing of our announcement. So we coordinated in terms of we'll be joining their lawsuit. But our decision is independent, and it's on our own. Yeah. Well, you look, it's curious to me, Steve, and and I had the conversation with the doctors. Look, our relationship is good, it's strong. It is candid, it is honest, it is open, and I'm grateful for that. And I can't account for it, honestly. I mean, I think it may be a different way of looking at maybe how this office has done business in the past. It may be that it's a part of that chicken and egg problem that, well, until you tell us we can do it, we can't give you a plan. I don't view it that way. I don't know how reasonably I can evaluate what they want to do given its potential harms. Listen, I know what they want to do. I got to know what they're going to do. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm approving. What I'm approving is a promise. And for a regulator to approve a promise, well, we've seen where that takes us. And there are plenty of historical examples where it has led to bad results. St. Joe's being one of them. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bill. Yeah, look, Lifespan already touts itself as one, Bill. So Lifespan, if you go to their website, they tout themselves as an academic medical system. So to answer your question, my view, it's yes. Yeah. Oh, went well beyond details. First of all, we didn't have the details, but when we're looking at the raw numbers and frankly what their experts have given to us, we see the gap, and we don't see a way to fill it. And the gap is not insubstantial. You had another question? Yeah, are you trying to end this? What if they come back and they have the answers to your questions that you're looking for? Would you reconsider, or are you trying to kill it? Well, I'm not trying to, yeah. Let me try to answer that question this way. It's not my intention to really kill anything. What I am doing is exercising my responsibilities under the law to decide whether or not their application is sufficient to warrant my approval. So whatever steps they take next are really up to them. It's not within my powers, nor should it be, for me to present them with a proposal as to how they can solve these problems. And they don't need me to do that. They have good lawyers, great lawyers. They have experts. They know how to do it, okay? And so it's really on them to decide what they want to do next. Other questions? Ted? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry? I met with them together. So, but you raise a good point, which is, so redactions, what they're getting today, what their parties are getting today, interestingly enough, at least interesting to me, is Care New England is getting a decision that is redacted differently from Lifespan's. So Lifespan's not seeing Care New England's data, and Care New England isn't seeing Lifespan's, right? Because it's confidential business data that is theirs. So as you can imagine, putting a decision together, a clean one, right? The one that's unredacted, we start there. Then you got to redact one for the public. Then you got to redact one for each party, right? Which is different from, so you got really 4 versions of this thing. It's 136 pages long. But I hope Rhode Islanders will find in there you know, a fulsome explanation of why we did what we did. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a great question, Ted, and the reason it's a great question is this. So the question for a regulator is, you know, if there is an issue like that, do we do this because we have no choice? And I don't believe that a regulator can or should be, lawfully or otherwise, be boxed into that decision, boxed into that kind of choice, right? And it also suggests that there aren't alternatives. It suggests that there aren't alternatives. And I view that there are. I can't tell you exactly what they are, but I'll make this broader point. I've said this to many of you, and I've said it to you, Richard. We can't structure healthcare in Rhode Island on a transaction by transaction basis, okay? We can't do it this way. You can't do it. The law doesn't provide for it. It's not the way to do it. There are lots of things that are driving healthcare issues in Rhode Island. One of them is Medicaid reimbursements. They're really low here. They're really low. You know, if you look in the decision, we don't go into it in detail, but there are pathways there for Rhode Island that someone should be thinking about. We should be asking people. I said this, I think, somewhere else. I don't remember the context. Maybe it was Prospect. Where the responsibility for health care strategy lies, we should be asking them, step back from a transaction. Look at health care in Rhode Island. How do we make it better? Look at Maryland and what they were able to accomplish. It's going to require, in my view, input from the federal government. It's going to require change. But until we get to that strategic level of thinking, we're not going to fix the overall structural problems, but I can't make decisions under the HCA based on that. Because now I'm boxing myself into a place where the law wouldn't have me go, and I don't think I should go. You know, not in the immediate short term. You know, look, let me say this. If you go back to Prospect, and it was a learning moment for me, and I hope it was a learning moment for Rhode Islanders. When we announced our decision, or tried to, before they went to court to block us from issuing it, what did we hear? Hospitals closing, jobs gone, okay? Attorney General overreaching. What happened? Hospitals are open, they've got $80 million in escrow, they're on a stable financial footing for the foreseeable future. I would tell Rhode Islanders, don't be afraid. There's work to do. Let's do it. I've always believed that if you ask providers, nurses, doctors, staff members how to fix healthcare, they'll tell you how to do it. They'll tell you. I'll just give you one example. My wife will tell you that for her to order a test from her office is cheaper than sending someone to the ER to get that test run. And yet to get that authorization from an insurance company is like pulling teeth. So what happens? Doctors send patients to the ER, which clogs up an ER, and drives the prices up. Ask doctors, nurses on the line how to fix healthcare. Put them in the room. They'll help us fix this problem. We've got a school of public health. We've got a great pharmacy school. We've got great thinkers. We can do it, but we got to put people around the table to do it. I know one thing, though. We can't solve it in the context of an application for a particular healthcare transaction where we're giving somebody a lot of market share on the promise that we'll pull it off. That's a mistake in my mind. Patrick, I can't tell you that. You know, that would be something that would have to come before us. I'll just say this. Competition in the marketplace. It's demonstrated nationally, and it's demonstrated here. It's better for healthcare buyers, including Rhode Islanders. The fact that these parties have been competing has made their practices, their systems better. Okay? So wherever there's competition in the marketplace, I believe the healthcare system will be better. Yeah, Bill. Yeah, many of them, I did not meet with them directly. My understanding is, and I'd have to ask the team, Bill, we can follow up, but many of them just submitted comments in writing, you know, or declarations, and that's how we received their input for most of the time. All right, other questions? If not, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. Thank you.